Hey, everybody, and welcome to, well, another deep dive. Today, we're going to tackle something I think everybody listening just probably had to deal with at some point or another.
Oh, yeah.
Defiant kids.
I mean, who hasn't?
Right.
And we're coming at this from an article that we found that has, kind of like a concise little list of 5 things that parents can try to do, make things a little smoother at home, a little more peaceful.
5 tips for taming those tiny tyrants.
Exactly.
Love it.
So tip number 1, and this is one that's it seems so obvious, but in the heat of the moment, you always forget about it.
Right.
Channel your inner Zen master.
Mm-hmm.
Stay calm.
Yes. This is actually something that I talk about a lot with the parents that I work with.
Right.
Because it's so easy, right, to get swept up in the emotion.
When your child is having a meltdown, it triggers something in us as parents.
Totally.
And our nervous system kind of goes into overdrive and we're like ready to fight or flee. But the thing is, and this is what I tell parents, it's almost like a hostage negotiation tactic.
Oh, wow.
You don't negotiate with terrorists and you don't give in to a tantrum.
Interesting.
Because what happens is when we do that, we give our power away. And then the child learns, ooh, if I scream loud enough, if I throw myself on the floor, I get what I want.
It gives them a sense of control in a way that shouldn't have.
Exactly.
It's about, I guess, reframing it in our own minds, thinking like, okay, I am the adult in this situation. I need to be the calm in the storm.
Exactly. You are the captain of the ship.
I like that.
You want to be steering that thing.
You be the captain.
Not swept away with the tide.
Okay. So we ride the waves,
Yep.
but we stay at the helm.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Tip number 2 is strategic surrender. And I love this one because sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I do not have the energy for this today.
Yes.
We're just going to...
This is choosing your battles.
Yes.
Right. Because every single thing doesn't have to be an argument or a power struggle. And sometimes as parents, we dig in our heels because we think, well, I'm the parent. I have to win this. Right. But when it's over, something as simple as maybe your child wanting to wear a mismatched pair of socks that day, or they want to wear, their pajamas inside out.
Sure.
Is it really the hill to die on?
Right.
Pick those things. Be strategic.
Is this something that really matters in the grand scheme of things? Or is this something where I can just, you know what? You want to wear the green socks and the blue socks?
Yeah.
Fine.
And then everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Tip number 3. And this one, I think, really lands well with kids because, again, it goes back to that idea of giving them a little bit of autonomy, a little bit of control over themselves, over their environment. Illusion of choice.
Right. So we're not talking about giving them an option to opt out of doing something.
Right.
The choice is already made, but maybe it's, do you want to do it now or in 5 minutes?
Right.
Right. And then that way they feel like, well, I got to pick, but ultimately you're going to do it anyway.
Right. We're still getting where we need to go.
Yeah.
It's just, how are we going to get there?
Exactly. And developmentally, it makes sense why this works so well. Have you ever heard of Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development?
I have, yes, vaguely. Like from college, maybe?
Okay, so basically, he was a psychologist who studied child development, and he identified these different stages that children go through, and one of the stages is autonomy versus shame and doubt. And that happens when children are like toddlers, preschoolers, and it's all about them trying to assert their independence.
Makes sense.
Right. They're saying, I can do it myself. They want to make their own choices. And so by giving them that illusion of choice, it really taps into that need for autonomy, but it also keeps them within those safe boundaries that you've set.
Right, which is really important. We're not just giving them free rein to do whatever they want. We're giving them choices within the boundaries that we set.
Within the structure. Yep.
Okay. Makes perfect sense. All right, what is number 4? I feel like this is the one that I struggle with the most.
Okay, so this one is a law of the land, and it's all about consistency.
Oh, consistency. See, and I feel like I try to be so consistent. And then the minute I am not consistent, my kid's like, well, yesterday you let me do this. I'm like, ugh.
Oh, they know how to push our buttons, don't they?
They know every single button to push.
No, yeah, they know them better than we do sometimes, I think.
They do.
But consistency is so important because kids thrive on predictability. When they know what the rules are and they know what the consequences are for breaking those rules, then they feel safer and more secure, right? And when we're inconsistent with our discipline, it's like the rules are always changing. It's like we're moving the goalposts. And that can be really confusing and frustrating for kids, and it just leads to more power struggles, more meltdowns, more tantrums. Nobody wants that.
And I think especially with, multiple caregivers, you've got parents, you maybe have grandparents involved or, other family members, nannies, babysitters, it's really important to be on the same page.
Absolutely. You got to make sure everyone's reading from the same playbook. Otherwise, it just creates that confusion.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. So consistency, really important. But like you said, easier said than done. Okay. And then the last one, number 5, catch them being good. We've talked a lot about what to do when they're not so good, when they're being defiant. But what about when they're actually, meeting our expectations or exceeding our expectations?
Yeah. It's so easy, right, to get caught up in like the discipline and the correction
Yeah.
that we forget to also praise the positive. But how do we feel as adults when somebody gives us positive feedback? It feels good, right? Like
Yeah.
you work really hard on something and somebody gives you that recognition. It's like, yes, okay. Like I did that.
Holy.
Right. It's the same for kids. And so when we make a conscious effort to catch them being good, when we acknowledge their efforts, when we praise their positive behaviors, it makes them feel good. And it also reinforces those behaviors that we want to see more of.
Instead of just saying, good job or being very general, what are some ways that we can really hone in on making that positive feedback land?
Specificity is key. So instead of saying, good job cleaning your room, be really specific. You could say something like, wow, I really appreciate how you organized all of your books on your bookshelf. That looks amazing.
Right.
You did such a great job helping me set the table tonight for dinner. Be specific so that they know exactly what they did well and they can connect those dots.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to that idea of, filling their cup, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right? Like if we're constantly coming at them from a place of like, don't do this, don't do that, their cup is feeling pretty empty. But if you can flip the script and really focus on all the things that they're doing well, it helps to build them up. And it also, like you said, it encourages more of that positive behavior.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, this has been so fascinating. So listeners, think about your own experiences. How did your parents handle, those moments of defiance? What worked? What didn't? Share it with us. Let's keep the conversation going. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.